and I had to carry him out of the vehicle to get him away from the flames. His legs were completely burnt up. It was pretty bad.
Just learning so much along the way and realizing that it's not about like being that team. It's about creating your own team.
I felt my calling was to go play pro football, and I thought, going to St. Norbert helped me do that the best.
Hello, welcome back to Division I Rejects. I'm your host, Kobe Manzo. This is episode 198. Tonight's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but that doesn't mean it isn't going to be any less incredible. In fact, I'd argue that the three guests on tonight's show are some of the best we've had in a while. The first of which, performing an incredible act this last week, the offensive lineman, from Slippery Rock, Mike Crist, pulled a man out of a burning vehicle and saved his life this last week. Let that one sink in. He performed an incredible selfless act and saved this man's life on the highway. Very excited to talk to Mike and for him to recount this story and also to give some insight on the rock down there, Slippery Rock, a D2 school down in Pennsylvania. So start things off with that conversation. That's going to be an incredible one. Also joining the show tonight, a pair of D2 and D3 respectively guys that have gone on to some local pro days trying to make their names in the NFL circles. Marshal Foerner from Minnesota State Mankato, Mitch Van Vooren from St. Norbert. Two guys that have seriously earned their way into the conversation of being a kind of preferred free agent or something other of the sort, late round draft pick type deal out of both those schools respectively. So incredibly excited for all three of those guest conversations. Otherwise, you watch this episode on YouTube. If you are, don't forget timestamps, video chapters, bottom of the screen right there. Fast forward to any part of the episode you want and then get the hell out of here. Otherwise, those timestamps also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are listening. Follow us on the socials. We do have, and I want to put the cart in front of the horse, we have a very fun announcement coming at episode 200. Not going to be anything earth-breaking, ground-shattering, but it's a really fun announcement for us taking the next step as kind of an organization, a professional program, if you will. So look forward to that, episode 200. Going to have a fun little deal come out when it comes to D1 Rejects. Otherwise, how about we bring back Tweet of the Week? The boys over at Rocky Mountain College. It's an NAIA school in Billings, Montana. They compete in the Frontier Conference. We're not talking ball tonight, though, for Rocky Mountain. We're talking about the annual Coach's Crawfish Boil. This looks incredible. And as someone who has attended my fair share of crawfish boils, and wishing I could be at way more crawfish boils, I'm incredibly jealous of the staff over here. This is an absolutely awesome look for Rocky Mountain. The guys certainly got some great chemistry going on over there. Coaches absolutely chowing on some of the best things to get down on. So, without further ado, let's get into the rest of this episode, get into that first conversation with Mike Crist. He's a freshman offensive lineman from D2 Slippery Rock, but tonight he's coming on the show to talk about what he did off the field to save a man's life. It's Mike Crist. What's up, man?
How you doing? I'm good. How are you?
Dude, it's like legit an honor to have you on the show, and I think the word gets thrown around a lot, but after the week that you've had, man, you're a hero, straight up. So first of all, we appreciate just you being an incredible human being, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, man, but thank you very much for coming on here, dude. Had to highlight you and what you've been up to.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And for those of you that maybe don't know, and it's not like this has been plastered across national news, although it should be, to be very, very honest with you, talk about the story. You guys are driving down the road on the highway. You see a car crashed. I guess not maybe necessarily crashed, but starting to burn up on the side of the road. Take me right from there. Walk me through those moments for someone who hasn't heard anything about the story.
So I'm actually going to go a little bit even before the crash. I had just gotten out of practice. We were having our first scrimmage, our first pre-spring game scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom picked me up from the practice, and we're driving down I-79 South, and I'm watching film, and she sees this car pulled off to the side and another car to the right pulled off to the side, but the car to the left, there was like flickering underneath the carriage, and she slams on her brakes and says, "That car is on fire." I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "That car is on fire." And really before like I could process what she was saying, I opened the door, ran over. My brother was in the back seat while I was in the front seat. Opened the door, ran out, and from my perspective, it looked like just the tire was on fire. So I wasn't expecting anything big. When I actually approached the car, The inside was it was just engulfed, flames everywhere, super hot. The stereo was melting, like the whole front dashboard was melting. It was insane. It honestly was insane. And the passenger, he was a driver, but he was on the passenger, like reaching over from the passenger side, reaching for his stuff. And I had to carry him out of the vehicle to get him away from the flames. His legs were completely burnt up. It was pretty bad.
Dude. And so you go through that, and you said your initial reaction, you see the car. Could you tell immediately that there was someone inside, or you didn't realize that until maybe you got closer to the vehicle?
No, you could. I mean, common sense would assume
right?
There was someone in the
Absolutely.
vehicle.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And so talk to me, what made you go towards it originally, right? I think that's a very uncommon trait. I think you can safely say that.
So had I seen the flames sooner, I mean, I don't know if I would have.
Okay.
Have seen like the flames. I was like, okay, this is a minor fire. Once I actually approached and see the large fire, I was like, oh boy, this is a lot bigger than I realized. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just back away and let this man suffer. And I tried to help him as much as I could, and thankfully his life was saved.
How close did you get before you realized the severity of that situation? Because you just talked about it, you know what I mean? Like getting right up there and then realizing, oh my goodness, understanding maybe the danger that he and now you are also in just by being in close proximity.
Right. So by the time I realized like that, like, okay, whoa, this is serious. Honestly, was when I opened up the door. Because like from the outside, it literally didn't look like anything until you opened up the vehicle door.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And now, I mean, what a week for you to see the outpouring of support across, social media. This is obviously not the first time you've had to recall this story, as, deservingly so. There's been some news stories, some other publications have come out and spoken about this, but just a whirlwind of a week for you to also still be in school and in spring ball, and now, having this extraneous deal. This has got to be just a whirlwind for you right now.
It is. I mean, it's humbling. And I actually recently downloaded LinkedIn and posted this. This wasn't, I don't want this to be a brag about story. For me, this is an honor. Like, I am blessed that God used me as a vessel, as somebody of importance to save this man's life. There's nothing to be, I mean, yes, it's awesome to be applauded. Yeah, what I did was courageous, but I don't look for applauding. Like, I'm just happy he was okay. I'm happy he's safe, and I don't look for a reward.
Incredibly well said, my friend. No, I absolutely understand that. And you can still be here and appreciate that, because you did do something that was of the right and had a great implication on that man's life, but also to understand and to be humbled in that way of, that those actions come with those kind of consequences, and to be that close to potentially a different outcome, right, is a very mortal feeling, I imagine. Now, have you ever experienced anything remotely like that before? What prepares you for a moment like that?
Nothing where I had to save a life. On that road is pretty dangerous, especially in the bad weather. I've seen cars in dips, and I've stopped and asked if they're okay, but it was just like them sliding off. Nothing, like no damage to the vehicle, but that road's pretty dangerous, honestly.
No.
Nothing like that.
No, I was gonna say, because you think someone like that might have a past in something where that just the fight or flight doesn't even click in. You just go, right?
Honestly, I didn't. And what's crazy is I didn't even feel like I was high on adrenaline. Like, I felt calm the entire time helping him.
Man.
Like, it felt natural, honestly.
Yeah, man. You might want to. What's the dream gig right now? I'm prefacing this because we might have to reevaluate.
No, NFL for sure is the ultimate goal.
Good.
But,
okay, let's keep that as the dream. Not saying to knock that off the list, but I'm just saying, because of this, might want to explore some other opportunities here.
Right. Post NFL, or if NFL were not to work, I always want to be in the football realm. I love coaching. Coaching would probably be my next profession.
Good for you, man. I love that. I love that for you. Let's talk some ball now. What's the outlook on this squad heading into 2025? You and I talked before we got going about that game against Ferris, but that's just the end of the summary of that 2025 season, that incredible playoff run for you guys. What's the outlook on this team heading into the fall, man?
So this, honestly, like, I don't know how to really word this the best way, but this is a new team. This is not the same team from 2024. This is 2025, Slippery Rock.
Sure.
My opinion, we're going to win the national championship, and I hope we see Ferris State. Ferris State is a wonderful team, well coached, well disciplined team. I think we can beat them. I know we can beat them, and I look forward to this season. I think we're going to be really well.
I love that. I love that confidence, and that's something that you guys carried very well into the playoffs. And to give Ferris really objectively the best fight they had throughout the course of that playoff says a lot about that squad. And I'm sure that does leave a little bit of a taste of what if, right, when they go on and win the whole thing. But now you guys get to live in the present. You're in the midst of spring ball right now. What have you learned about this team throughout the limited springtime and spring practice you've had around them?
We're just fighters. Everyone on our team is aggressive from first string to third string. I'm a second string guy, and we're returning a lot of guys on the O line. So we're gonna be good. We're gonna be good up front. We're gonna be good in the backfield. Defense, I think we only lost 3 or 4 guys. I feel like we have a bigger shot this year than we even did last year. Honestly.
Okay, yeah, window very much open for the Rock.
Right.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that. And you redshirted last season, correct?
Yes, correct.
So now you come in, your offensive front was a huge reason for your guys' success.
Yeah, it was.
And you talk about bringing some of those guys back, some veteran type of leadership. Looks like there's a lot of young faces in that room, a lot of sophomores playing big-time snaps maybe last year and some other things where you keep those turnover at those spots. What does the room look like now? How are you competing? You talked about being a second-string guy. Talk about competing to earn a spot on that 2 deep in the travel roster.
Right. So our left tackle, Joe Cooper, I mean, he's a complete animal. And,
Hell yeah.
And a lot of guys hear about him, all-American kind of guy. We have a left guard upcoming, Eli Poglusi. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Dog.
Yeah, animal, complete animal. Our center is Muhammad Ali. Crazy name. Also a young guy. He didn't get any playing time last year, but he's a young, really good guy. Our right guard is a returning starter, Luke Puglisi. And our right tackle is upcoming as well, Jake Jonasson. Very I'm biased. I believe that this is one of the best O-lines I've played with.
That's awesome, dude. That is awesome. And the skipper over there for you guys, Coach Lutz, talk about him and kind of how he's cultivated. Slippery Rocks, they've been a team that has been synonymous with playoff football, and they got a long tradition and history of being a really great squad. Talk about how he's heads the ship in the right way, the helmsman.
Absolutely. Coach Lutz is a complete animal. If you have to be there to see him, he's the energy to our team. He's a wonderful head coach. He brings the energy to practices, the meetings, all the above. I couldn't ask to be anywhere else. I don't plan on going anywhere. This is home for me. I love Lutz. I love the program. I love the staff.
That's big time, dude. You don't hear a lot of that today's day and age, man.
Right.
Get in, earn your keep, take a little bit, get red-shirted, bide your time. Even now, working your way in second string, got a lot of football ahead of you, whether that's NFL or Secret Service, maybe football coaching in between. We're going to figure that out. But in the meantime, got a lot of ball still to be played this spring, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Our spring game, I believe, is April 25th.
Okay. There you go. You guys aren't playing against anyone. I didn't see an announcement.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
We don't. I don't believe we do that.
Yeah, because we've seen a lot of teams do that, so that's been an interesting deal. Was there any conversation about any of that or no?
No, that would be awesome if we do, but we just play ourselves, offense for defense.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah, it's been like that for a long time. D2 has just started to get into that realm of maybe some multi-team kind of more typical spring game type deal. But Mike, I appreciate you. Incredibly grateful to have you on here. Thank you for sharing your story and for your incredible act. Seriously, and the fact that you spoke about it in that way and are humbled by it. I feel grateful to have spoken to you tonight, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
It's a blessing.
Yeah. Have a great night, man, and a great season.
Thank you, man. Thank you. You as well.
Joining the show tonight, the former All-Big East hurler at Marquette University, where he set multiple track and field records. He joined the football team at St. Norbert after COVID. Now, though, making the case to be a professional tight end. Mitch Van Vooren. What's up, man?
How's it going? Doing good.
Dude, that's a ridiculous resume, and you got it right over your shoulder there, the varsity letter and the setup from Marquette. We don't get the likes of these kind of caliber talent on here very often, man. You're part of an elite crew.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to share my story a little bit.
Dude, absolutely. A freaking roller coaster of a career that you've had, and now it takes one more uptick, and you're trying to go professional here, whether that's NFL or otherwise. Was that ever a thought when you originally gave college football a chance? I know that you had talked about in other shows and interviews and things that idea and that feeling of wanting to get back to football and that missing of the game. But was there ever that deeper thought of going back and then trying to turn it into something more?
Yeah, that's kind of what kind of pushed me to play football because coming out of Marquette, I loved it, and I thought about taking my 5th year to keep running track. I thought about staying at Marquette.
Okay.
I talked to the coaches from Miami and Madison, so I thought about going to the Big Ten to run or go down to Miami and run track. But
Okay.
at the end of the day, I felt my calling was to go play pro football, and I thought going to St. Norbert helped me do that the best. So kind of use them as my stepping stone and the way to develop myself to get to where I am today.
There you go, man. Hell of an answer. I like that. And I just watched, literally right before we recorded this, St. Norbert just dropped their own, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'd call it the podcast or interview. It was awesome. The setup was first class, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty legit. When they asked me to come on, I was like, "Yeah, I'll hop on a podcast or interview." And then they're like, "By the way, it'll be on camera." And I was like, "Yeah, no biggie." And then I walked in the room and I was like, "Oh, this is a pretty legit thing."
I
But
was
yeah,
blown away.
yeah,
I
it's
was just
pretty cool.
watching that before we just started this thing up. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. And I think to kind of build off of that, your name now being thrown around in a lot of these type of circles. I know we had posted about that small college mock draft, memory hunt, and there have been a ton of other, things like that popping up in these circles and these conversations. Now, whether it's an NFL opportunity or some other professional look, what have you done just to get your name out there, name recognition wise, and force these scouts and other personnel just to at least give you a look?
Yeah, I think my game on the field, at St. Norbert, I think I did pretty good. I ended up being first team all conference. But then,
Hell yeah.
what the biggest thing for me was, I think going down to CGS Bowl in January down in
Okay.
Texas. Because coming from a D3 school, you got to it's tough with the competition we play. Some people disregard it, even though there are some pretty elite athletes at every level. But going up against those bigger time D1 schools, high tier D2 schools as well, I could show that what I was doing against D3 guys, I can also do it against a top tier D1 talent as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you and Marshall kind of shared that experience, that CGS Bowl being a great way for you guys, like you said, to showcase your talents against a wide variety of players there. Now, when you make that decision originally, coming out of Marquette, going to transition and give this football a real shot at the college level, is there someone in your family or maybe a close friend that really started and planted the seed of that idea, or that was just something that from high school you just held on to?
Yeah, I mean, even in my youth, I always wanted to play in the NFL.
Mhm.
Everything I do, I go into mindset like I got to go be the best that I can do and be the best
Oh, yeah.
at it. So, I never go in something trying to be the second best at it. So, when I wanted to go play football, I was like, I got to go try to go to the NFL. But I think, not playing football for a while, it's tough, getting your mind right, getting back into being like, yeah, I think I can go play college football. Obviously, even I took 4 years off, but I think my dad probably helped me build the confidence in me the most. I talked to him a lot about it, and just knowing that he also believed in me and he believed that I could do what I thought I could. So just a little reassurance before I made that big jump.
Why say Norbert? You said you thought it gave you the best opportunity maybe to showcase those talents. What was it about it? Of course, going back closer to home, I'm assuming is a huge factor, but what was it about them that you felt put you in that right position?
Yeah, like you said, being close to home is always a little added benefit. But I also talked to the coaching staff a lot and the guys on the team, and I thought that we had a good group of guys to go out and compete. And I know Aurora's been kind of top of the NAC conference that St. Norbert's in. I think
Yep.
they haven't lost a game since Don Beebe took over a couple years ago, and I thought I want to be a guy to come in, change the culture a little bit, see if we can knock them off. Unfortunately, we did not, but we still took second both years, which was pretty good. But St. Norbert, I thought was, they're coming up on the up and up, trying to get them better. And I thought I
Mhm.
could push them over the hump. And, everyone talks about WEX schools and how good they are. And obviously they do have good records and they do pretty good at D3. But I thought, I want to go somewhere maybe a little less recognized and see what I can put my name on the map there.
I think that was kind of the interesting question coming from me as well, and I didn't necessarily have it written down, but you would think potential NFL draftee pick, you're looking at a Whitewater, at a
Mhm.
Lacrosse, at some of these other teams that, of course, have been synonymous with the playoffs and the postseason. And St. Norbert certainly does have a squad down there, like you said, that has just been on this upward uptick and trajectory. But yeah, it's an interesting perspective of that there is more football at this level in Wisconsin than just those WIAC squads. So I certainly can appreciate that. But physically, what's the toughest part of preparing and making that adjustment, for your body, making a whole different set of movements?
Yeah, I think just knowing what I had to do to get there. I had some guys help me out my first year, 2 years ago, going into it, it was a little different. I ran track at around 225 weight,
Okay.
and now I'm up to like 245. So,
Yeah.
just gaining 20 pounds of lean muscle instead of fat was definitely a challenge. But also, moving side to side and laterally, because, in track, we just run in a circle. I mean, obviously I hurdle, so there's a little more than that. But at the end of the day, we were just, turning left and running. So on a football field, you got to make sharp cuts. So just get my body back used to that, because not doing that for 4 years, you got a little rust. But after a year, 2 years of playing football, I think I'm where I need to be.
Yeah. Do you ease yourself into that at the very beginning, or is that something where you throw the cleats on and lace them up and get out in the field and just start going through L drills and whatever else?
Yeah, I probably, a little bit of both. I hit it head on. I had a quarterback, Ryan Johnson, who used to be at NMU, transferred to Illinois. Yeah, so
RJ
he actually
Grant.
helped me a lot the first summer before I was at St. Norbert. Me and him worked out like once a week together, so he was really helpful in that process.
That's awesome.
And then after my first year at St. Norbert, I kind of had an idea of what I needed to improve on and work on for the second year. So then just having an understanding of what I needed to do in the second off season helped me out a lot.
Absolutely, man. That is neat, and it's cool that you guys could connect and do that. That's really neat. But more recently, coming off a local pro day, man, with the Packers, you've earned the opportunity to test in front of multiple NFL teams, which is something that guys from this position is really rare. And I talked about you being in part of an elite group for a couple different reasons. What's the outlook like on where this road takes you now? How awesome was that experience?
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. As a kid, coming here to St. Norbert, I thought that, my goal was to, play in the NFL. So just being able to get these opportunities have been huge. Like a couple years ago, if you told me that I'd be working out in front of NFL scouts, obviously I'd be like, yeah, that's a dream. But, you never know if that's actually going to happen. So, just grateful to be where I am, thank my family and friends and, Lord Jesus Savior and our Savior, just making sure I'm in the right spot.
Yeah. Any surprises when it comes to, obviously it's not your first time working out, trying to make a case for yourself on the professional level. Any change-ups or any surprises that'll work out like that? Anything you maybe wish you approached differently?
I don't think any surprises. I worked out at Advantage up in the UP, up in
Shout
Marquette
out.
where you are. So, Dustin Branch, he got us right, and the coaching staff that we had there, they prepared us pretty well for what we were going into. So I think I had a good head on my shoulders, and I trusted the team, and I knew what I was doing getting into it.
Those are pretty cut and dry then when it comes to those local pro days and things. You give a great idea of what exactly to expect before going into that. It's not like you show up and it's like a question mark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we knew what we were getting ourselves into, and just make sure we were prepared for that.
Yeah, that'd be something if you show up and they just like spin a wheel at the front door to see what kind of position work or something they're putting you through.
Yeah, our last workout, they had me pass that a couple times, which I haven't done a lot of.
Really?
But, it's definitely something new. But yeah, it was a good experience.
Interesting. Yeah, I go back just recently to Jake Witt up here, right? And maybe apples to oranges, but plays basketball at the college level and makes the transition over to playing football up here at Northern, and was just an absolute specimen, much like yourself, probably built in the same laboratory, the two of you, to be completely honest. But he goes and goes from tight end to offensive tackle, and that's where the Colts saw him. And unfortunately, maybe career didn't last as long as some of us had hoped there in the NFL, but certainly had his cup of coffee with the Colts, and that was a really exciting deal for him. So definitely can't blame him for trying, right? That's a position that if you have the athleticism and you have the frame, they figure they could probably coach the rest of it, huh?
Yeah, I think that, the NFL coaches are so experienced and so good. They take someone that they think they can mold into that character, like Jake Witt, and then you just got to get a chance and then do what they say, and you'll mold into that kind of guy.
Does your mental, physical prep change going from meet day to game day when it comes to football?
A little bit. In a football game, there's X amount of plays every game. Obviously, you want to perfect every time, but
Sure.
You're gonna, not everyone's perfect, so there are going to be mistakes, and there's adversity that comes with that. But the good thing about football is that you do get 3-4 downs to get a first down. Like, you get more chances than just one. But when track, the gun goes off, and that's what you got. You got a time at the end of the day. So it's definitely a different head game, because if you have a late reaction to the gun in track, your time's that much slower, and you can't go back and you can't live to see another down. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That is, not so much of a goldfish memory when it comes to track and field events. You screw up, you're just done, and you have to just sit there and I guess think about it. That's that's not a good one. Yeah, that wasn't for me. But talking back to the pro scene here, what do you think the biggest knock is on you, and how do you dissuade that?
Yeah, probably just being a D3 football player, and I haven't played football for 4 years besides coming to St. Norbert, so I only had 2 years of college football. But
Sure.
so that kind of is a knock on me, but I also think it's also a big advantage. I got a huge ceiling, I got a huge upside. I'm getting these looks as a guy who is playing D3 football and only 2 years of college football. So just imagine what I can do with a couple of years in the NFL under my belt, some good coaching, and some more development.
Where do you think you have the most room to grow when it comes to your football playing skills and abilities?
Probably just fundamentals.
Sure.
Coming down from wide receiver to tight end, there's a little more part of the game you need to know. So I think just understanding the game of football, the more you do stuff, the more you know about it. So just be immersed in the football scene and just knowing as much as I can about the game.
The position has been commonly referred to as a unicorn on the offense, and I'd put you right in that same category.
Yeah. Obviously, you need to block and you need to be able to catch touchdowns and catch passes out there. And I think that coming from playing 2 years wide receiver, definitely have that checked off the box. I love to put guys in the dirt, and I think I'm want to get my nose dirty. So I definitely cross that off too.
We put some hurdles on tape yet, or what?
I have not, but I should try to put some.
I didn't see any. I tried to do a little homework. I'm looking. I'm like, you would think, right?
Yeah, I didn't even try because my first year there, we had a running back hurdle a guy, and they threw a flag and gave him some penalty for it. So
You're
I
kidding.
didn't want to. It was crazy. We were on the sideline. We are like, I don't even think that's legal, but yeah, they gave it to us. So I was like, I'll play it safe, and I'll just play the game the other way.
Oh, but wherever you end up, we got to see that, because that little match cut edit from the track to running down the sideline is gonna hit. That's gonna be awesome, dude.
I might have to do it just for that exposure right there.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's gonna do numbers, man. But that's all I got for you, Mitch. Really appreciate you, dude. Excited to see what's next for you, where you end up, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Obviously, I love to share my story, so I appreciate you getting me on the pod.
Absolutely, man. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. You as well.
Joining the show tonight, the All-American tackle from Minnesota State. He's coming off a local pro day with the Chicago Bears. Marshal Foerner. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up? Happy to be here.
Dude, excited to get you on here. That's a hell of a story right there. I mean, from Minnesota State, of course, but the local pro day invite from the Bears. That's a pretty exciting deal, man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just the hometown team that you've been rooting for since you were just a kid, and be able to go in there, see the facilities, and get a little workout in front of the coaches was a really cool opportunity.
Absolutely, man. What kind of feedback do you walk away with after an event like that?
Probably the biggest thing is probably just seeing the other guys and kind of how you stack up, and just doing that kind of self eval, because honestly they don't give you a whole lot of feedback. So
Sure.
you gotta do it yourself and just kind of do kind of the eye test of the guy next to you.
Yeah, no, I get that. But I was looking through the roster pictures, and I'll have to pull them up for the actual podcast. Freshman through junior year for you is Clark Kent, and then you go buzz cut, no glasses senior year. Setting the tone, or what happened there?
It was kind of a whole team thing. There's, I think,
Okay.
probably half. If you have it up, go pop over to Hayden Eckerns, and that's a pretty good one.
Okay, I'll take a peek.
Just kind of everybody right before, we're obviously Mines does their thing out there, and we're just kind of want to have our own thing. So I think
Yes, dude. The Mines ones are incredible. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. And so we're just we want to do a little something. So we just the week before, we just all one by one started buzzing our hair and convincing the next guy to buzz their hair, and just to have something cool like that. And I've never had a buzz cut before this, and I've had it since those pictures were taken.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, you also went and took part in that CGS All-Star game down in Fort Worth. We've had Mike Riddleman on, the director of scouting for them. Talk about and walk me through that experience for you.
Oh, yeah. It was a really cool opportunity I think they have 100 and something different scouts there, and being able to have the opportunity to talk to them and meet with them and get kind of feedback from them there. And then also having the competition there of other guys, from all the way from D3 up to D1, FBS, Power 5, and just kind of seeing those guys and being yeah, I can do this. stand right next to them, and there ain't no difference.
Absolutely, dude. What about I wanted to ask, what's it like playing for Twitter celebrity over there and Coach Henning?
Oh yeah, I mean, what does he have now? Like 50,000.
It's something absurd. I can I can pull it up while we talk about it. But it is a ridiculous number. What role has he played in your development though? And on a more serious note.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because he was an assistant back when I was getting recruited and got to Mankato, and then over COVID he went to Upper Iowa as a full time, and then came
Yep.
back like a month after, or a year after that, and just he's been a big part of, like, we've kind of been growing together throughout this. He started as a GA and I started as a freshman, just knowing a lot about each other and how like how to coach me and how I can help him become a better coach has just been really cool.
That's a neat deal. Growing alongside each other. Almost 80,000, by the way. 78.3.
Oh my God. We definitely get on him in the O-line room about all of his, so because he takes risks sometimes with his tweets.
Yep. That's incredible. That's impressive. It is incredibly impressive. That number is
Definitely.
awesome, but definitely a guy that I remember I had reached out to him once before and he immediately deflected and said, these are the guys you need to have on, and shout out some of
Oh,
the players.
wow.
So shout out Coach, man.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, that's really neat. But let's talk about you. You didn't come in as the starting left tackle on this squad, and this is a squad that the name has been synonymous with the postseason all the way to the national final and semifinal, and maybe not in such recent history, but you guys changed the narrative on that this year. Oftentimes, young players in the offensive line come in, they become that quote-unquote fifth or sixth guy, the plug-and-play guy, the utility, the guy that kind of fills the gap, whether that's inside or out, and they have to earn their way into that lineup. Now, does that process for you restart going to the next level of being the guy to try and fit in, or are you absolutely slotted in at the tackle position, do you feel, at the next level?
No, I definitely think it's kind of start back from base one.
Okay.
You're whatever they need you to be. Like, do whatever you can to make us roster or be useful in any way possible. So right now, just training all the positions across the board, trying to just be versatile.
Absolutely. Can you snap?
Working on it.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer. Was that how it was at Minnesota State? You come in and that left tackle spot, when it comes to offensive line, that's the coveted spot. That's your guy, right? Especially you talk about the typical right-handed quarterback. That's blindside. That's, they made a movie about it. It's pretty important. But you get in, that's not a spot typically for a freshman. Was that something where you had to earn that job later on in your career?
Yeah, it's kind of get there. I mean, when I came in, Mankato was like the place for O linemen, and
Yeah.
you come in bottom of the totem pole and just work your way up and kind of do what I said, be valuable, do like play both sides, and like when I'm first started in 21, just being the swing tackle, backing up both, and then I was eventually able to step in at that left tackle spot, and kind of been there since then.
Yeah. Absolutely. Once you get it, you don't want to give it up, huh?
Oh no! But by the end, I got a little too comfortable at left tackle and needed to work on that right tackle a little bit more.
I get that. That's a real thing, right? I mean, it's like you get so used to whether it's footwork, positioning, pulling, depending on where you're at on the line, all of that stuff starts to, like you said, get a little bit comfortable. You knew you needed to maybe make a switch, change things up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like you do one thing, one side for 3 years, and going back to the other side was a little bit of a challenge. But we had started to work at Coach Henning, and like last spring ball, he'd
Okay.
one practice just to challenge me, threw me at right side just to make sure I didn't lose that.
Yeah. Now, is that something you guys do because you want to have that versatility just in case, or is that something you do when you identify, hey, I really want to go and play professionally and take this to the next level, and if I want to do that, this is a skill set I need to develop?
Depends on the situation. For that situation, he just didn't want me to like do the same thing that I had been doing, and
Sure.
wanted to have that versatility for the next level. But like talking about versatility, like as like a younger guy, like you got to be able to like play everything, because you never know who's going to get hurt, where you're going to have to step up at. Like I in that playoff run last year, like we'd gotten pretty deep into it, like our 8-9 O-line
Yeah.
positions.
Depth of the O-line is one of the most valuable things. And, to be honest, that's why Ferris has had a lot of the success that they've had, And, you look at a team in them, they're losing a lot of that depth right now. A lot of big-time portal additions from that front five just in the last couple of days. We'll see how that shakes out. But talk about that run, 2024, for a Mavs squad to make it all the way to the national semifinals. You upset the 1 seed in the region. It's a place, talked about it earlier, it's not foreign to this team. You made it there in 2019, your freshman year. So you have the great chance to be a part of not one, but 2 of those teams of that caliber. What was that like? How does that add to your resume going to the next level?
I mean, it's just such a journey to go through and be like throughout all the years of chasing that 2019 team and trying to be like that team, and then just learning so much along the way and realizing that it's not about like being that team. It's about creating your own team and like just getting close with the guys next to you and creating something special of your own.
I like that a lot. Because for you, they literally did set the standard. Your first year, that's all you know in college football is making it to the national semifinal and playing for a chance to play in the national championship. And so I can imagine it would be very easy to chase that and to set that as a standard. And for a lot of ways and for all intents and purposes, you probably should. That should be the bar, and you should chase that. But to your point, how do you make that change from chasing what a team was into turning a team into something that, is unique and different?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to repeat it, and you have to go through some hard things. Like just kind of our journey last 4 years is like we come off that 19 team into I guess we kind of get comfortable and we go 6-5 the next after COVID and all that. But then you go 6-5 and then you come back up and make it to the second round of the playoffs and then get really happy with that and then get a little bit more comfortable off of that and lose in the first round the next year and then go down after that and work hard to bring your way out and have the run that we had this year.
Ups and downs, brother. Ups and downs all the time. Football, life, all of it. What's an area you've hit really hard, tried to focus on when it comes to either your metrics or your game in this kind of pre-prep draft process here?
Kind of been varying. Like before pro day, it's like do everything you can to have the best numbers possible. So working on your starts, your top end speed, then the bench, and then all those categories. And then kind of since then, just kind of hammer down on the O-line work and become the best O-lineman possible.
Oh yeah. What's the outlook on the 2025 Mavs?
I mean, I got all the faith in the world in those guys. Like I think they can do whatever they want to do.
Running it. Hell yeah, dude. Sweet. Marshall, that's all I got for you, dude. Excited to keep following along with you. It seems like you've gotten some really good opportunities. The door is certainly slightly ajar, my friend. Yeah, bust that thing open.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Sweet, dude. Have a good rest of your night. Appreciate you.
Hey, you too. Appreciate it.